Okay, so today, guys, we are back with another episode of the MicroStakes Guide, and today we're going to be looking at the most effective and enjoyable way to study GTO. And the reason for this video, guys, is that I get a lot of people asking in the YouTube comments how I study and what I use to study, and the answer is pretty much exclusively Poker Scientist. Now, I did make a video very recently using Poker Scientist game plan, studying a spot that I played at 50 NL. If you do want to go and check that out, the link will be up here. Now, instead of using the game plan section of Poker Scientist today, we're going to be using the training module. And in the training module, you get to play against Neura, who is the Poker Scientist robot. Now, if you watched my video a couple of months ago where I announced that I'd be working with Poker Scientist moving forward, you'll know that I'm running a competition at the moment in my Discord. Now, the way this competition works is that players will play 22 hands against Neura, and whoever can get closest to 0 EV, which will be the best possible score after those 22 hands, will win a month subscription to Poker Scientist. And so on today's video, I myself am going to be playing those 22 hands against Neura, and hopefully I can give a good account of myself, but there's a good chance that I could get run over here, so hopefully that'll be entertaining for you guys to watch. If you do like what you see from Poker Scientist today, then you can use my code EASTY with 3Ys22. I will leave a link in the description below, where you can get 20% off all bundles on Poker Scientist. And today, guys, I'm actually going to be giving away, as part of this video, a 1-month subscription to Poker Scientist Trainer. If you do want to win, all you have to do is like the video, comment down below, and also join my Discord. I'll be picking the winner at random, so if you do win, I'll reply to you in the comment section down below in about a week's time. If you do enjoy today's video, then please do consider subscribing to the channel and also drop a like. It really helps me out. But for now, let's go and take a look at me getting destroyed by Neura. So the situation I'm going to be playing today, guys, is that I'm going to open the barn. Neura is going to 3-bet the small blind with this particular range here. Just want to give you an idea of what the ranges look like so you guys can play along effectively at home as well. Obviously, these are solved ranges. So we've got this particular range here, 3-betting from the small blind. Very infrequent suited connector, 3-bets here. Pocket 5s half the time, and then obviously 6s, 7s, 8s, and 9s. A pretty standard 3-bet range here. Nothing should be too out of the ordinary for you guys there. And then we are going to be defending, which is the green here. Right, if I select it like that, we're going to be defending with all of those pocket pairs, quite a lot of suited connectors, another pretty standard defending range, and obviously as you'll already know, and it'll be pretty obvious here, we're obviously doing a lot better in the lower sections of the board than we are in the higher sections of the board, as obviously small blind is going to have all ace king, kings, aces, ace king offsuit, queens, whereas we're not really going to have that anywhere near as frequently. So that's the kind of thing we want to bear in mind as we move into the trainer now. So what we're going to do now, guys, is we're going to select the training mode. We're going to select the positions that we've chosen to play today, which is the button against the small blind, and we're going to be playing a 3-bet pot in position. Now, this is a really cool feature. You can actually choose between balanced, tight, and aggressive play styles. Today, we're going to be choosing balance because those are the ranges that we've shown you today. And that is it. We just go to randomize spot, and then we are ready to start training. Now, we are now facing a bet from Neura on ace 3-8. Obviously, a board that she's going to be doing pretty well on. This is a board we're never going to be... Don't think we're going to be doing anything but calling, so we'll start with a call. Yeah, and so as you can see here, after you make a decision, what the program will do is show you what you've done and how often you should be doing it, what the best strategy would have been in terms of EV, and then the EVs of those actions. So we're basically shooting for 0 EV every time. And yeah, obviously this is just always a call, but I just thought I'd run you through that quickly, and we'll talk about any of the interesting things that come up there. But basically, I think the best score I've had so far in the competition is something around minus 25 big blinds after 22 hands. This is obviously really, really difficult, and I'm probably going to be somewhere, hopefully, I'd like to be somewhere around there. That should probably be quite a good score. You find yourself doing quite well, and then you'll make one horrific error, and then it all goes terribly. So Neura has now checked the turn, and I think we just want to try and show our jacks down, so I'm going to choose check, and again, we have 100% frequency check, so we're doing well so far. Now, Neura bets small on the river. This is pretty close. I imagine that we don't want to fold this hand in theory, so I'm just going to flick it in here, and yeah, we do have a call. And we do have, so obviously, not a popular sizing in general when in your pools, or your regular pools that you're going to see, to bluff with. This is generally going to be like thin value, like ace bit, quite a bit. But obviously here we're not going to be folding our jacks, and we're off to a 0 start, which is absolutely joyous. Now 5-4 of clubs. Oh, this is going to get dicey. So king 6-5 and Neura bet small. I think we're obviously going to have to defend our pair. Never going to be undoing any raising. Interesting turn. Completes the flush, and we do make 2 pair. I think we're going to want to bet here, but probably not too big. So let's go for a small sizing. So yeah, as you can see here, we went for the bet, which is the best frequency, but it's actually not the best strategy in terms of EV. So we did lose a little bit of EV here, but they were super close, and either option, as you can see, is fine. I decided to go ahead and protect my 2 pair here, which I think is perfectly reasonable. So we do lose a little bit of EV here. You're going to start to see it go down. Neura starts with another small bet on 6-10 queen, even smaller bet, and we're going to go for a call. Now, yeah, so what you're going to see, guys, is from my experience as well of playing against this robot in these positions, which is why I think this is really cool to do, is that you're going to see a lot of raising in position against small sizings with all sorts of hands. Now, the best frequency is, the highest frequency is to call, but the actual highest EV, I only lost a little bit again, but the highest EV is going to actually need to raise 26% of the time here, which is super interesting. Neura barrels the turn again pretty big, like 80%, and I think we're just going to pitch our ace-jack here. So again, fold highest frequency play, but not the highest EV. So we lose another little bit, but not the end of the world. Ace-9 of spades on deuce 7 king, and she goes for 40%, I believe this is. It can be slightly confusing, but I think we're working on this anyway. But basically, the size of the pot was, I believe, yes, it's 21. So it's 8 into 21, and then it adds that into the pot. So it's going to be, what is that, a third pot? So we're going to call. I wouldn't be surprised to see some raises, but yeah, we actually don't have any raises, which is interesting. On this turn, I think we just want to bet small. I can't see any reason to do anything else. I don't particularly want to check. Obviously, we don't like lock up the board at all. He's going to have a bunch of king X that wants to check this turn at high frequency that we want to get value from. So I was completely wrong. We have a bunch of checks here, but we decided to go for a bet. And if we are going to bet, then it's that frequency then that sizing I chose is best. Now we need to decide whether we want to go big or small here. I'm pretty sure it's going to be tough to get calls. We're pretty much targeting like a crying call from king X or obviously a lower spade. Given that we have a 9 and an ace of spades, I think it's going to be pretty hard to get paid here. So we're going to go for the smaller size. And we are drastically wrong. We end up getting looked up by the 10 of spades, but as you can see here, guys, we went for the smaller bet, and we lost quite a lot of EV here not going for a larger bet. I thought, and maybe I'm thinking too exploitively, I thought that a smaller bet was going to be more appropriate, but I was wrong, and now we are looking pretty now we're looking pretty dead, minus 52.73 after 4 hands. Now we're getting 80% on this flop, I believe that is, and we're just going to fold, I think, which seems best. Sometimes it's nice to get those, I mean, especially when you're playing the competition, if you do want to play it, sometimes it's nice to get those easy folds on the flop so you can bring back some EVs. You can see here we gained 10 here, which is really nice. So another big bet here from Neura, and we're going to go for the call. She checks the turn. Now we have a decision between, I guess, block and check. I think I prefer check. Yeah, I think I'm going to go for a check. I wouldn't be surprised to see some bets. Okay, cool. It is 100% check. That's good. Now we have to decide whether our hand's worth value or not. So what kind of hands would Neura check turn and check river with? I wonder if we're going to value own ourselves here against a jack a bunch. Maybe some like ace 9 suited that we can get value from. I think this is going to be close between small bet and check, but I'm going to go for a check. So it's 88% check, which is good, which means we got a 0 score, which is great. But yeah, like I said, not surprised to see a non 100% number there. So we're gaining some EV. Oh, this is going to be tough. So this board, obviously, king 7 is going to be super good for small blind. He's going to have, you know, 7s and all the king X that we have at a lower frequency. I think this is just going to be a fold as a result. So I'm going to go ahead and fold. So it's a 50% fold, but the best EV decision. So in terms of our score for this game, we're pretty happy with that. And we're back to minus 30, and we get led into on, or we get a standard C bet from Neura for a small sizing, and we can either call or raise here. I imagine, like I said, it loves to raise in position against small sizing. I wouldn't be surprised to see a bunch of raises here, but I'm going to call. Yeah, so not a bunch of raises and a super like minimal EV difference, but about a 10% chance of a raise here. So it wouldn't have minded a raise, and I actually would have got a 0 there for that. As played, we get 80%ed on the turn by Neura, and we have another clear call, I think. Actually wants to protect its equity here by raising. So maybe I should think a little bit more about that spot. So yeah, it just wants to go all in to protect, I guess, to protect equity and deny equity from Neura. Makes sense, but again, we have the highest frequency and super minimal decision, and obviously, like, I know this guy, we don't need to snap call because it's not like we're slow rolling her, but I just wanted to talk about this turn briefly. But obviously we have a call, we do lose to 2 pair, which doesn't matter. We're just looking for that big juicy 0 in the EV loss column, dragging it back to 26.8. Now we need another, okay, so 16, so this is another 80% pot here, and we just have to call. This is going to get a bit dicey though, so we do have to call. We lose nothing, and yeah, now Neura just shoves, and we're just going to fold, obviously. Nice, we gain a little bit more back. Deuce 4-9, and Neura checks. So now we have to decide whether we want to bet this with our 2 overs and backdoor straight draw, I guess, or we just want to start giving up. In my experience, it does like to bet a bunch when it's like struggling a bit in terms of its holding. So I'm going to go for a bet. As you can see here, it likes a check. Like highest EV is actually going to be to check, but it's also pretty happy to bet the half pot that we did. Remember, we do have those deuces and 4s that Neura doesn't have, so that's pretty cool. So that's what I was going with there. Sometimes you just have to use your best intuition, guys. I'm not a computer, so we're just doing our best here. 8-8-4 and small blind checks. So pretty interesting. We do block 1-9-8 suited. I think that 9-8 suited was super infrequent, right? So it's not a big deal, but we obviously want to protect our hand, and I think either one of these sizings is going to be pretty good. I don't mind it either, but I think half pot seems best. So actually, so sometimes you get this screen, and I'm not confident, but I believe you get this when you do something that's never done, so it's like sort of out of whack. But the EV is actually like, so you can see here, the half pot was actually a 0% frequency, so I think best strategy would have been to check in terms of EV. But the actual, I imagine, because we could go into game plan, we're not going to do that today, just to look at what actually we want to be doing here. But I imagine the other option was the bigger sizing that we could have used. But again, a small EV loss, which I will take. And yeah, as much the same as that 8's hand. Was it 8s or 3s on King 7? We just can't really continue here, I don't think. So we're just going to fold. And again, some wacky stuff going on 1% of the time, raising. Which is super interesting, but again, 86% fold. I'm pretty happy with the play, even though we lost some EV, which is unfortunate. You can lose EV for all sorts of shit here, guys. So I don't feel too bad about it. 8, 9, 10, and Neura checks. I don't mind a bet, and I don't mind a check. There's a lot of this going on, guys. So we have to decide what we think is going to be the highest EV here. I think I'm going to bet for a little bit of protection. Half pot or small, I think is best. Let's go for half pot. So again, pretty minimal difference between check and half pot. And yeah, both are pretty reasonable. I think I'm gonna go for another small bet on this turn. It's gonna be pretty difficult to get called in multiple streets here, but I don't want to check. So I am gonna bet with a bunch of stuff we can get value from here. Right, so again, getting shown up, 7% frequency bet, and then a bunch of checking, and that's probably just going to be because it's really difficult to get called twice here. We need to bet again, and we need to decide whether we want to go all in or we want to bet small. And I think we want to bet small. Our opponent's going to have, I imagine Neura's going to have some full houses here, like Queen 10, and maybe like, probably not pocket 8s and 9s, but I wouldn't be surprised to see that. Maybe some Queen 9 as well, for sure. Because she's going to 3-bet Queen 9 and then... So I don't think we can go massive here, because I don't think there's any way after we bet flop that we have an advantage in full houses. Could be talking out my arsehole here, though. I'm going to go for the small bet. And it's actually a check, so we're going to lose a bunch more EV, which is a huge shame. And the reason it's a check is probably a lot of the reason... a lot of what I was talking about just then. Is that... And we do have sometimes a small bet, which I think is fine, and we're losing a lot of EV here because all of our players are super high EV. So you know, we're going to lose a bunch there when we make the wrong decision. And yeah, I don't think betting is a disaster. Can't really be a disaster, but I can understand why it wants to check back a bunch. And remember, Neura's going to have a bunch more check jams than a lot of people. And remember, if we're not getting called by aces, then we're probably struggling to get called here a bunch. So it doesn't make too much sense to bet. Because remember, we have to get called for our bet to make sense. Anyway, we lost a bunch more EV, and now we're down to minus 4 million. Which is going to happen, guys. Like, there's a bunch of excellent players in my Discord that much better players than me that have played this that have made one error somewhere along the way, and gone down to minus 50 in the end. So it can happen. And like I said, I'm not a computer. We're going to fold here, guys. Seems like a pretty reasonable thing to do. We'll drag some EV back. 14 hands in. Remember, guys, we're playing 22 hands. We've got the deuces here. This is one of those spots. I think against a massive size, I think we're just going to fold, even with the deuce of spades. The first thing I was thinking of is that basically, having played this a lot, and specifically probably this spot I've played a bunch as well, is that when you have the backdoor flush draw with your under pairs or like pairs below the top part of the board, it does like to continue, whereas it folds anything that doesn't have the backdoor flush draws. But I think against this sizing, I'm just going to pitch, which is, yeah, obviously the right decision. But that's the reason why I hesitated and started talking about that. Minus 32.97. This is actually not a horrendous score, but it could get worse. Right, ace 10 king, obviously a pretty good board for Neura. We're going to start with a call. We can't be folding right now, but I can't imagine ever wanting to raise. Spade turn. Do we ever want to start bluffing our hand? Probably not. We're going to check it back. And then really sizing from Neura on the river. This is another spot where we're going to probably lose a bunch of EV. Man. She's going to check a bunch on the turn with spades. I think we just want to fold, honestly. This is super gross, but I think we want to fold. We're going to have some spades ourselves to call with. So small, though. We have some two pairs. I'm not sure we raise the flop with them. Gonna go for the fold, I think, but I'm ready for this to be awful. Okay, good. She's value betting two pair, which is, if she's value betting that, then we can never call, right? But this is the kind of thing like that obviously a lot of people aren't doing. We went for the fold, and that's awesome. We get another 0. Dragging back to minus 30. Hopefully we don't get absolutely ruined in one of these spots. So 6, 6, 4, and Neura checks, I think, with ace high, and we're going to check. Seems good. Turn, we can start trying to get Neura to fold like ace queen or something. It's not like we have some showdown value, but not like a whole bunch. I imagine Neura would start bluffing with less than ace high, maybe at some frequency, I'm not sure. Let's bet this turn, and I'm deciding now between 40% and 80%. Let's go for 80%. Let's try 80%. So yeah, so we do get the ace high to fold. Pretty close again between the large and the half pot, and a super minimal EV difference. But half pot would have been the best EV. I'm a bit annoyed I didn't click that for the EV lost column. But at the end of the day, what can you do? This is one of those spots I was talking about, guys. No backdoor flush draw. Going to really struggle. Big sizing, easy fold. 18 hands in. We've got a few more to go. Can we see this out strong? Ace of spades on deuce 3, 10, and Neura checks. Probably doing a lot more checking than normal because of the deuce and the 3, because we have those sets as we looked at, and she doesn't. We are going to check back our ace high. 7 of clubs on the turn. I think, unlike the last hand where we had the ace 5, which wasn't going to beat some other stuff, ace highs, I think this is probably just enough showdown value to start checking down. And king river, I don't think, I mean, ace of spades is interesting. She's gone for 3 checks. Do we actually beat stuff? Do we need to bluff this hand now? We have the ace of spades. This is going to be really close. Just thinking about whether I want to bluff this ace of spades or I want to check down our showdown value. We're going to lose, I think, to like pocket 6s and 8s and 9s. And I wonder if we can get those to fold. I think this king is obviously better for Neura than it is for us. But I wonder whether the ace of spades we want to bluff here. Don't think she's going to have like many flushes, if any. I think I'm going to bluff, and I think I'm going to go for 80% pot. but I'm ready for this to be a disaster. Right, so it is a disaster. So we got the fold. So we lost a bunch of EV there. So we have a 0% play with the 80% pot, but what we have a 95. I was on the right track, but I'm not a complete maniac. So what we actually were supposed to do there was jam, which makes sense, right? Because we checked back flop, we checked back turn, and then the king came on the river. We're basically saying that we somehow have a flush here when we bet a king, because yeah, and then obviously blocking the flushes that Neura, I guess, could have. I'd have to look into it in the game plan. We're not going to do that now again. Unfortunately, we lost a chunk here. I feel like that's kind of harsh because we had the right idea with going for the 16.8, but the all-in sizing, I think, makes more sense in hindsight. We're trying to get them to fold, like, if we're trying to get them to fold like pocket nines, I don't know if the sizing accomplishes enough. Pretty unfortunate spot, but, you know, whatever. Flopping a set, and it's interesting because sometimes you get like super easy 0 EV plays, like we're gonna just like snap fold those like pocket threes on those high boards and stuff. Flopping a set is like not as good in this when you're trying to get close to 0 EV, because it means you're going to put yourself in a lot more situations and a lot more opportunities to make the wrong decision. Anyway, we're going to go for a half pot bet here, which is fine. Neura checks turn, and we need to bet again. We don't have a diamond. Board's getting a little bit more connected, but we definitely need to protect our hand. It's a question of whether we want to bet 30 or 15. We're not going to go all in. So 30, this is what I'm talking about. We're going to lose some EV here probably. 15 or 30. Now, what we're trying to get called by, we bet half pot on the flop and Neura called. She could have overcards that include diamonds. She could have some overpairs that want to check on 3-5 because of the sets that we can have that she can't. It's interesting. I think my preference is for a larger bet to protect my equity, so that's what I'm going to do. We lose a little bit of EV. We do have, this is probably going to be a small bet, I imagine. We do have some bigger bets at some frequency, and actually some check backs, which is interesting as well. Maybe to pick up bluffs from something like this. But I probably imagine, like again, if we went into the game plan, we could see, I imagine that this is going to be the smaller sizing, the rest of this frequency. Well, for sure it is. Easy fold here. One of those situations where you get to gain back a bit of EV. Okay. Apparently we're supposed to call here 25% of the time. I don't understand that. I guess we do have those backdoors, but this feels like a fold to me. But obviously I'm not a robot, so I'm probably wrong. Check on 4-6 jack from Neura. We're going to check this back. Small bet and check are both good. Now, 4-5. I think we still want to keep checking here. There are some things that we beat at showdown. Go for the check, and we do make a straight on the river. Now we need to decide what our value size is going to be. After 3 checks from Neura, I think we're going to struggle to get value here from much. I think the small bet is my preference, but again, it's probably going to tell me to bet bigger. Small bet or bigger. I think we're going to go for the slightly bigger size. So yeah, it likes actually huge bets. So it looks like we had some very unfortunate time with some server maintenance on Poker Scientist, but we did go ahead and bet this river. It did prefer a slightly bigger bet, as we were talking about, but not the end of the world. We probably would have dropped a little bit below 40 after the decisions we made in this hand, but as you can see, we scored minus 40.5, which isn't one of my best scores, but sometimes it's what happens. You can see a couple of spots we did get a little bit unlucky with the sizings. I hope you can see this is an awesome way to learn GTO. I've had so much fun with it, and I'm definitely learning, picking up some things that I've talked about with you today every single time that I play. So that's going to do it, guys. Sorry about the unfortunate timing on the server maintenance there, but I hope you got a really good idea of how fun it is to use this tool to study GTO. Like I said, if you do want to pick up Poker Scientist, you can use my code EC22. I'll leave a link in the description below to pokerscientist.com. You can get 20% off all the packages on Poker Scientist. And remember to like the video, comment down below, and join my Discord if you want to be in with a chance of winning 1 month subscription to Poker Scientist Trainer. But let me know if you want to see more of these training videos, perhaps playing in different spots. And if you do want to see that, let me know which spot you want to see next time. But for now, that's going to do it. Take care, stay safe, and I will see you on the next one.